We all love the idea of an effortless shortcut, the promise that you can skip the hard work, swallow a simple solution, and instantly acquire mastery. But what actually happens to our minds when we try to cheat the learning process? To see how this plays out in practice, we can look at a vibrant Indian village, home to a highly curious 10-year-old boy named Chintu and a rather mischievous elder known as Bhau Kaka. One afternoon, Bhau Kaka decides to test the boy's gullibility. He points to a completely ordinary tree and makes a wild claim. Whoever eats its mysterious, glowing mangoes will be instantly transformed into a super genius. Chintu doesn't hesitate. He accepts the story as absolute fact, surrendering his skepticism to the allure of the magic pill fallacy, the innate impulse to believe in unearned mastery. In Chintu's mind, the reward is already his. He pictures himself draped in graduation robes, surrounded by cheering crowds, as teachers salute his brilliance and reporters hand him giant golden trophies. He hasn't taken a single bite of the fruit, yet he is completely caught in an expectation-driven fantasy loop. His brain is actively simulating the euphoric feeling of success before a single drop of actual effort has been spent. This brings up a fascinating psychological tension. When a person is genuinely, absolutely convinced that a magical shortcut is going to work, how does their cognition and behavior actually change? The simple act of anticipation alters our perception of our own abilities. By visualizing the end result, the brain primes itself for a very specific type of cognitive illusion. Driven by that illusion, Chintu waits for Bhau Kaka to fall asleep. He quietly shimmies up the branches, plucks the golden mango, and takes a massive bite. This schematic of the human brain shows what happens next. Physical reality remains exactly the same, but psychologically, the placebo effect takes over. New pathways suddenly spike with activity as artificial confidence nodes light up. Chintu's brain is now frantically searching its environment to validate his newfound intelligence. Almost immediately, he spots a basic math equation written on a school wall, 12 times 8. He stares at the numbers, and the answer, 96, effortlessly pops into his head. Notice how the glowing pathway directly connects that newly lit confidence node to a pre-existing basic memory retrieval node. The mango didn't grant him any new knowledge. As the nodes resolve into a bar chart, you can see that the reduction in anxiety is simply lowering the barrier to required effort. The absolute lack of a fear of failure allowed his brain to smoothly access a mathematical fact he had already learned. The placebo effect functions by removing psychological barriers, leading a person to mistake a temporary boost in confidence for a permanent change in ability. Bursting with euphoria, Chintu is now entirely convinced. He answered a math problem correctly, which in his mind acts as undeniable proof that he is a certified genius. This flowchart graphic illustrates a cognitive trap called confirmation bias. It processes incoming data points, but only allows that specific 12 times 8 equals 96 victory to pass through a heavy filter labeled pre-existing beliefs. He connects a mundane accomplishment strictly to the magic mango, ignoring all basic logic. The brain actively discards any conflicting information. That successfully filtered data point glows intensely, expanding outward until it completely eclipses all other surrounding logic nodes. Chintu is now operating inside an impenetrable bubble of self-assurance. He runs straight to his friend Pinky and starts loudly boasting about his new elite status. He wields his ability to solve the equation as irrefutable, objective evidence of his brilliance. Because of confirmation bias, a purely subjective feeling of confidence has mutated into an undeniable, objective fact in his mind. He is completely blind to his actual level of incompetence. But then Pinky starts laughing. She cuts right through the boasting and points out a simple, logical fact. 12 times 8 is incredibly basic 4th grade math. This line graph plots confidence against competence, illustrating the Dunning-Kruger effect. A data point spikes to maximum confidence at minimum competence, the peak of Mount Stupid. Suddenly, the illusion shatters. The point plummets into a deep valley as objective reality hits. Overcome with humiliation, Chintu sprints back to the tree to angrily confront Bhau Kaka for lying to him. A humiliating collision with objective reality is often the only mechanism powerful enough to break the Dunning-Kruger cycle. The sudden shock forces genuine self-reflection. When Chintu arrives demanding answers, Bhau Kaka isn't apologetic. Instead, he laughs, entirely unbothered, revealing the entire prank was an intentional setup from the start. He explains that the mango served its purpose. It provided the self-awareness necessary for Chintu to realize he isn't actually a genius yet. Pinky, Bhau Kaka, and even the village dog Sheru fall over laughing. The tension breaks, and Chintu has no choice but to accept the joke. Intelligence is found in the constant, humbling recognition of exactly what you do not know.